we saw this. Meet Kevin, who Lima had gone on his podcast, not only is still making videos, but he actually made a commentary video to the Logan Paul situation. Honestly, y'all, I think you could take out Logan's name and put in Lima, and you could take out CoffeeZilla's name and put in mine, and it's just exactly the same situation. Hello, everybody. How are you doing on this fine Tuesday? I am doing quite well, ready to get back at it, making videos. Actually had tried to post a meal prep vlog yesterday, but it got copyright struck because of a song I put in it. So that'll be up soon. Speaking of which, I just want to address the fact that underneath my nails are bright yellow because, well, honestly, that's what happens whenever you're engaged to an Indian man. If you know, you know. The food is yellow. Anyway, I haven't had a chance to make it to Target and get the alcohol wipes. So, yep, they're yellow. It's what happens when you eat masala. Get some culture, okay? About 3 months ago, I made a video reacting to a podcast appearance that Lima had made. Now, in this, I'm calling it a podcast, but it was more just kind of like an interview. In this interview, Lima had made a bunch of, in my opinion, completely outlandish and outrageous claims. And she was saying basically like just the mere fact of being homeless necessarily means that you should have like a state mandated therapist that is then able to track your biometric data.
What I would do if it were up to me to reform the system is that nobody would be allowed to be homeless. It's not a choice. And somebody that is on the streets abusing drugs, putting themselves in a situation where they're constantly being sexually assaulted, where they're constantly being, it's their freedom to make the decision too. But if you scanned everybody's brain, you would see that they were incapable of making their own decisions. 3 things that should be done. It should either be, if you're homeless, you need to seek a homeless shelter every night. No one should be sleeping out in the streets. It's not okay. If you don't want to go to a homeless shelter, then you should be sent to a psychiatric hospital.
She also said that you have to force people to be in state-run internment camps for at least a year if they have any mental health conditions.
Let's say you had 100 throughout the state of these 4 football field communities. How can you compel people to go? Because, I mean, I do think that
you
the
have
people
to force it. It has to be a choice of the state. You have to force it.
Okay.
You have to.
Including eating disorders or any substance use issues.
I gotta ask you. So the No Come and Go, the 1-year program, it sounds to me like those are for the people who went through the detox residential, then outpatient. What about for the people who have fallen on, like they're there, folks who are capable, they could get a job, and they just became homeless. They just got evicted. They're just at the start. Can those folks be entered directly into outpatient, but then maybe have the right, like, here's your key, come and go as you want. Try to get a job. You need to be here and shower. You've got that option. Something like that.
In that case, if they are not abusing drugs and they don't have an eating disorder and it's not a mental health condition, then what I would do is therapy. So something along the lines of telehealth. So Mora has that in the application. Tracking, regardless, you're going to have to track people's mental health progress, even if it's not an addiction, because it could be anything and someone could all of a sudden have a bad day and want to end it all. So, being homeless is a way of, even if you start off okay, you will become very depressed. You will feel like you're stuck, and you'll end up with a lot of problems. So there needs to be someone for you to talk to.
I mean, it was completely preposterous.
You can't just hand freedom over like that and then boom.
Outrageous, outlandish, and unacceptable, in my opinion. The video I made on it is over an hour long. At the same time that was going on, Kevin himself from the Meet Kevin show, he was going through a little bit of his own legal issues, legal troubles. And if I recall correctly, he had actually made a video that said that he was going to be leaving YouTube right around the time that I made this video. video. So I didn't reach out to him and I didn't want to bother him because it seemed like he had other stuff to worry about. And it does seem like some of y'all actually did know who Kevin was and did follow him. Now, I did not know about Kevin's videos before the Lima interview, and that was the reason that I found out about him. But he is very, very popular here on YouTube. He has over 1 million subscribers. He's a really big channel. According to the people who commented on that video, who are my subscribers as well, y'all seem to like the guy. He seems to be against a bunch of huge government regulations. And so it didn't really add up as to how or why Lima, with her views and her viewpoints about, regulating homeless people and people who have addiction and substance abuse issues, regulating them out of existence, essentially, or regulating them right on into prison camps or labor camps. It didn't really make sense or add up to me. But to be honest, I had other things to worry about. I'm not trying to dig in to meet Kevin. Y'all seem to like him. It's whatever. He had other stuff going on. So the other day, actually, the same night my nails turned yellow, me and Prim were sitting around and I don't know how it came up, but he asked me what I knew about the Logan Paul situation, or maybe I asked him. I don't know. Like, there's this whole thing going on with Logan Paul. And there's like a crypto alleged scam or something. A creator who I have watched some of his videos here and there, called CoffeeZilla, had done this 3-part expose on Logan Paul, and then the whole YouTube blew up about it. I'm not a follower of Logan Paul. I find him to be insufferable. I can't really listen to him or even honestly look at his face for longer than a few seconds. But I understand a lot of people like him. That's just my opinion. Me and Prem were like, okay, well, let's just cut straight to the source. Let's see CoffeeZilla's investigation of Logan Paul. We watched it, and then I was like, well, now I need to see what the YouTubers are saying about it. And so I was looking up, I don't exactly remember what we typed in. I think it was just like, Logan Paul responds or something like that. It was after Logan had already deleted his response video to CoffeeZilla. And now he seems to have backtracked and changed course from that first video he made. I'll see if I can find any clips of it and I'll insert it here.
I watched a 3-part series called Investigating Logan Paul's Biggest Scam. He is a lopsided journalist with an agenda, and he's nothing more than the Keemstar of crypto. You're kidding. You can't hack.
But essentially, Logan Paul, a big YouTuber, threatens another big YouTuber called CoffeeZilla to sue him for defamation, essentially. And in the video, Logan makes a bunch of horrible PR mistakes, a bunch of decisions, I'll say, that I wouldn't make particularly. But listen, who knows? He's been at this game a lot longer than me, and he's allowed to do what he wants to do. So then I just wanted to see what the commentary was about this Logan Paul situation. And as me and Prem were scrolling through the YouTube commentary section of it all, we saw this. Meet Kevin, who Lima had gone on his podcast, not only is still making videos, but he actually made a commentary video to the Logan Paul situation. And honestly, y'all, I think, and we'll watch it together here, that's the whole point of this video, but I legitimately think you could take out Logan's name and put in Lima, and you could take out CoffeeZilla's name and put in mine, and it's just exactly the same situation. And I kept looking at Prim like, do you think Kevin knows about this Lima thing? Do you think this is pointed at Lima? And Prim was like, I don't know. It's still pretty on point for the Logan Paul situation. And, Kevin was going through his own stuff whenever you did make your videos. So it's probably not Kevin talking to Lima. It's probably not supposed to be shade at Lima. But y'all, I just can't shake it. It just feels like, in my personal opinion, this was a video Kevin made to Logan, but also it perfectly applies to Lima, such that I just feel like it had to have been pointed and directed at her in some way, shape, or form. Or at the very least, it's Kevin publicly saying how he feels about these frivolous, meritless defamation lawsuits because of people's opinion on YouTube. Let's just watch this video together. And I want to know what y'all's opinion is on this, because I feel like this has to be some type of indirect, at least indirect shade at Lima. And Prim kind of thought no, probably not. This is just his commentary on the Logan Paul lawsuit. So without further ado, let's watch it together. And if y'all don't want my commentary where I stop the video and I pause it and react to it and stuff like that, then you are free to go to Kevin's channel. That video, I don't appear in it at all. So you can go watch it over there. But this is going to be my reactions. So without further ado, let's get started.
Logan Paul made 5 critical mistakes in his response to CoffeeZilla video. Hey everyone, Meet Kevin here. In this video, we're going to break down all 5 of the critical mistakes that Logan Paul made. Number 1.
Okay. 5 critical mistakes that Logan Paul made. Let's see how many of these 5 apply directly to Lima, Mora, Tequali, Jevremovic, who was on Meet Kevin's podcast 9 days after Amanda Rabb died, and only 3 days after she announced it on Soft White Underbelly. Lima appeared on this man's channel to talk about Amanda. Again, 9 days after Amanda Rabb passed, she was talking about Amanda on this man's channel. Okay, this man has 5 critical mistakes Logan Paul made.
By far, the biggest internet mistake that you could possibly make is something that Logan Paul should have known very clearly about from back in the days of H3H3 Ethan and Hila Klein versus Matt Haas. You do not threaten a lawsuit. When Matt Haas threatened and eventually filed a lawsuit against the Kleins, Matt Haas was sent to obscurity, and the Kleins were promoted to virality.
Well,
now one exists on social media and one does not. The Kleins succeeded. Not only did they win the lawsuit for basically having made a video against Matt Haas, criticizing Matt Haas, and Matt Haas got his feelings hurt, but
so Matt Haas in this situation would be Lima, right? Suing meritlessly, lost the lawsuit. No one wanted to listen to Matt Haas anymore. No one likes him anymore. He's not even on YouTube anymore. And look how famous and viral the Kleins are. They have one of the biggest YouTube channels, certainly one of the biggest podcasts in the whole world, one of the most highly viewed podcasts in the whole world. And who's that other guy? I've never even heard of him except for outside of this lawsuit.
the internet absolutely hated Matt Haas for threatening and eventually filing a lawsuit because lawsuits shut down discussion.
They sure do. Lawsuits shut down discussion.
Unfortunately, that's exactly what Logan Paul is threatening to do here.
You still published a defamatory hit piece fully knowing I was innocent just so you could enrich yourself in your $10 million studio.
This literally, Logan Paul's allegations and accusations against CoffeeZilla are exactly the same type of allegations and accusations Lima makes toward me. Oh, she's trying to enrich herself. She's trying to make money off of it. She's trying to get clout off of the story. It's like, bitch, have you ever heard of journalism? Have you ever heard of maybe like, I don't know, ringing the alarm for the public to know where they're investing their money, who they're trusting? One of the most fundamental operations in a democracy is journalists telling people where they might be being misled.
I'm just going to read it word for word of what we got. The cause of death was marked as a seizure disorder.
Where they might be being lied to, where they might be being duped.
Well, I know that they did a toxicology report. All she had in her system was Tylenol.
But anytime you know, a little old me, little old person like, CoffeeZilla, a little old person like Ethan and Hilda Klein back in the day goes after, or even just go so far as to just speak on and give an opinion on and give true facts on one of these huge players, one of these people who are very rich, very powerful. She's trying to get clout. She's trying to enrich themselves. She knew for a fact that wasn't true. What wasn't true? I knew for a fact what wasn't true exactly. And the same thing with Logan Paul. He's sitting here saying CoffeeZilla knew that it wasn't true. Bitch, it's a 3-part series. What part did he know for a fact wasn't true? This is just you grandstanding, sweetheart.
Sharp, but deeply unethical, dangerously misleading, and illegal. I suggest you use the money you got from pumping your Patreon to hire a good lawyer. You're gonna need it, and I'll see you in court.
He is threatening CoffeeZilla with a lawsuit, which removes discussion and perspective from the internet because, after all, what is the first thing lawyers tell everyone to do?
Shut up.
Stop talking. And that is what the internet hates. Look, whether you are right or wrong on the internet wants to hear everybody's perspective. And the cool thing is, they'll give you an opportunity to share your side.
That's a good point, Kevin. Had Lima not filed this lawsuit and instead just used some of her little clout that she actually has to go on a PR tour on a little media circuit and tell her side of the story, that would have been totally fine. But instead, she has chosen to file a frivolous, meritless lawsuit, and no doubt she's been told to shut up about it.
I made a rash decision without talking to my husband to take a very large loan out to pay for Amanda's treatment. I'm just going to kill myself.
But I'm not going to shut up. I will not ever stop talking about this. A judge could even order me to have to pay Lima money, and I will gladly pay it before I shut up. I am never going to stop saying the truth. Unfortunately, most people who end up going in lawsuits do stop saying the truth. And I think that's what Kevin is getting at.
But when you threaten the other side by threatening to shut them down and to financially ruin them, whether or not those allegations are true or not, what you do is you create what the internet hates. A David versus Goliath situation, where the impression is some larger, wealthier individual tries to step on a smaller person, the common man looking out for everybody else simply by asking questions and presenting challenging information and perspective. That's what the...
I looked over at Prem and I was like, is he talking about Lima? And Prem was like, it is pretty on point. Like I said, by the end of it, Prem was like, no, I don't think it's Lima. I think he's just literally saying his commentary on Logan Paul, but it does apply to Lima. And I was like, no, it's about Lima. So, you know, who knows? Y'all let me know. But with a few more minutes of Kevin for y'all to make your mind up.
The internet wants challenging information and perspective. I personally believe that's why people watch my videos on my channel, is if I'm not providing them creative perspective, then they don't come back. And they shouldn't. But the last thing you should do is threaten to shut down your opposition. That is dangerous. The internet hates that and ends up making people hate the threatener, in this case, Logan Paul, even more. And you have to be real with yourself. If you think you will win in court, you're kidding yourself, Logan Paul. Nobody wins in court other than the attorneys. See, because usually what happens when you go to court, especially for defamation lawsuits, is you'll end up going through 2 to 3 years of hell, depositions, evidence prep, and a lot of phone calls and Zoom meetings, when the reality is you should actually be focused on providing the product that you promised to provide. Coffee Zoo. I mean, Crypto Zoo. But yet again,
and that applies to Lima as well. She had to stop doing certain things. She had to return the brain rescue supplements. But yeah, I mean, Lima's spending, I would venture to say, hundreds of thousands of dollars on this lawsuit. And if she keeps it up, it's going to be in the millions, I'm sure. And all that money is going to be allocated away from her business, Aura. It's going to be allocated away from being able to put money into other things, apparently like spending hundreds of thousands of dollars sinking in the money to Bam Margera's rehab.
The Guardian was just sinking hundreds of thousands of dollars, keeping you into rehab. I don't understand what incentive there was for the Guardian to keep you in rehab, because she was the one paying for it. So that doesn't make sense. But
that's what I'm trying to say.
The Guardian was actually covering Bam's rehab. The Guardian put so much money into that rehab for Bam.
I don't even know if you want to go there.
The Guardian only put money in.
According to Steve-O, which again, like I said, I do not believe that. I do not buy that. I do not think for one single solitary moment that Lima spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on Bam Margera's treatment. She's also allocating the money to this lawsuit away from other important initiatives that she claims to want to be working on, like doing the same thing for Amanda for other people. It just doesn't add up financially that she would want to allocate all of this money in the hundreds of thousands. My legal fees alone from defending myself in this meritless, frivolous lawsuit, which I will certainly be trying to go after her back for these fees, so she will be owing them to me if I win that, are over $100,000 already. And we're only at the motion to dismiss stage. We haven't even started depositions or anything like that. Hopefully, the judge just dismisses this lawsuit because that is what it deserves. But even if the judge does, I mean, she's going to need to be paying me back for this $100,000 that I'm out of my pocket. So if I'm already out $100,000, that means Lima's out probably at least close to that, if not double. So all that money she's spending on this lawsuit, she ain't spending on her business. She ain't spending on the other stuff she wants to spend money on. Not only money, time, energy, effort, resources. She's spending all of that directing it at me and my little silly little videos on the internet, instead of worrying about herself and worrying about her business and worried about her family. She's worrying about me.
You've missed deadlines because you're too busy making a non-apology video.
Oh,
And see,
she made a non-apology video too. I'm sure you will remember the shitpost video. She probably knew someone was going to try to video game her.
unfortunately, by threatening a lawsuit, you make more than just one big mistake. You create a second massive mistake.
What is it?
You remove your ability to actually take accountability. That's right. When you threaten a lawsuit, it actually means maybe you're really gearing up to file a lawsuit. And what you can't do if you're about to go to court is actually take accountability, because that would just weaken your case in court. But that's why everybody hates court, because people don't get together and be like, hey man, I effed up here. And then the other side's supposed to be like, yeah man, I effed up over here too. Like, both sides can have some fault, but when you go to court, nobody takes any accountability, because that would just weaken your legal case. Let me give you an example. Let's say that you hypothetically had a couple drinks, you waited a few hours, but you ended up getting pulled over and charged with a DUI.
So I think this is Kevin making a little allegory of his own experience.
Because even though you felt you were completely under the limit, you still gave some reasonable suspicion that you were potentially under the influence. And when you were offered a breathalyzer, you refused it because 10 years ago you were told to never use the rigged police breathalyzers because you'll always lose, and the best way to prove your innocence is having no evidence at all. And now people are demanding answers for your behavior, and you have two choices. The best internet choice is number one. Logan Paul, take note.
Lima.
You take responsibility. You vow to never drink and drive again, or
So let's say somebody went on a huge YouTube channel that gets millions and millions of views, that has millions and millions of subscribers, and you told the whole audience a series of things that aren't true, such as Amanda Rabb passed, cause of death was marked as a seizure disorder. And then maybe some random little YouTuber somewhere says, wait, that's not true. Cause of death was not marked as a seizure disorder. The cause of death was cardiac arrhythmia. The best thing for Lima to have done would have been to just make a little video saying, oops, my bad, read it wrong, or oops, my bad, I thought it was this, that, and the other. But no, instead of that, she decided to sue.
at least you vow to set safeguards to make sure that people around you are safe. In the case of DUI, if you drink, you wait a substantial amount of time, or just have a designated driver, take an Uber, right? In the case of Logan Paul, you take responsibility for having effed up on the delays for CryptoZoo. You promise to find better people, you promise to find better engineers, and you promise to make it right to your audience. You learn from your mistakes, you admit your mistakes, and you move on, you become a better man, and you thank CoffeeZilla for bringing attention.
And you thank ThatSurpriseWitness for bringing attention to the truth. No. Instead, she sued. One of the 5 big mistakes, according to Meet Kevin, who Lima appeared on his podcast 9 days after Amanda Rabb died. That's her friend. She went over there.
To your F up. Because everybody makes mistakes. That's humanity. But being a real man means standing up and saying, the buck stops with me. That would be the right choice. The problem is, if you plan to go to court, you can't do any of that because you actually weaken your ability to win in court by taking accountability. So you actually, by A, threatening a lawsuit, you make everybody hate you because you're trying to silence the other person. And number 2, you're going to go to court, which means you can't take accountability, which then also makes people think you're just a pompous asshole who takes zero accountability.
Lima.
And that's a problem, because after all, if you trusted a con man and you got fooled, the buck stops with you. It's the same thing like with the FTX debacle. A lot of creators, myself included, ended up getting fooled by FTX. But guess what? A lot of creators, while they've stuck their heads in the sand regarding FTX, I've actually come out publicly to reveal how much I was paid by FTX. It's about $188,000.
I will say, watching this Meet Kevin video, this is only my second one I've ever watched. I like the guy. I mean, from the 2 videos I've seen of him, even though one of them featured Lima prominently, and it doesn't seem like he's come out and disputed, or, it doesn't seem like he's come out to distance himself from her or her ideas. It didn't seem like he ever really made a very conscious effort to say that her ideas weren't adopted as his. I mean, all that. That being said, I still like the guy. I like what he's saying in this video because it's true and it's common damn sense. And I know what they say, common sense is not very common, but he's right in this video. And he's saying, look, I've messed up before. He's now given us 2 examples. And he's saying, this is the way that I handled it when I messed up. And he's right. You can't expect people on the internet, influencers, creators, YouTubers. We are just people. We are just human beings. And we're going to mess up. We're going to say wrong stuff. We're going to be incorrect about things sometimes. We're going to trust people we shouldn't trust. All that stuff, the same way that you would do it. We're just people who live in a house just like you or whatever, right? And so Kevin is saying, look, this is a way I've messed up in the past. I have encouraged my subscribers to invest in a certain thing. I even, whenever I realized that it was a mistake, I came out, I admitted my mistake, and I gave you full transparency. And he's saying, and that's what other people should do, including Logan Paul. But I'm saying I'm applying it all the way to Lima.
How much they still owe me, about $70,000, how it represented less than 3% of my income in 2022, and I admit I effed up. Look, Sam Bankman-Fried was a cluster F of a fraud, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't take your own accountability, and I admit I effed up, and I apologize to my
And I think he's saying this part because Logan Paul in his little clapback video to CoffeeZilla said that he had trusted this guy who was basically, according to everyone, you know, I don't really know, but this guy was apparently like a scammer or a con man or something like that. And Logan said like, well, this guy fooled billionaires and he fooled, you know, owners of sports teams and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I also got fooled by him, so I shouldn't have accountability. And Kevin is giving an example where that exact same thing happened to him. And instead of making a video pointing the finger at the con man, he said, y'all, I got conned by the con man.
audience.
Alleged con man. I don't know a whole bunch about the FTX thing, but I do know that it was a huge deal and a lot of people lost a lot of money.
That, in my opinion, is taking accountability. I hate it. I make a lot of mistakes. It sucks, but it's the right thing to do because the reality is your goal in life is to go through life and do more good than you do bad. Unfortunately, the more good you try to do, the more mistakes you make along the way. But you have to learn from those and make sure you don't repeat those same mistakes. Logan Paul, you should take note. It's okay to make mistakes. I'm a creator as well. I F up as well, but you have to take accountability. And that's not what Logan Paul does. Instead,
This camera switch. I should get a second camera so I can turn.
he points the finger.
And I know what you're thinking. What type of idiot would work with an unsavory
Good. I don't have to find the clip now. This is the clip that I was going to insert.
individual like Zach Kelling? I guess that's what I get for trusting the team that I relied on to vet and manage Eddie's hiring process, who has turned out to be a professional con man that I have since learned fooled billionaires, the Mormon Church, the owner of the New York Yankees, and now me.
Number 3, another thing that's a really bad idea is, mocking your critic. This reminds me of Donald Trump mocking somebody with, the ailment where kind of your arms and your face.
So this other thing that you never should do also applies to Lima, because whenever I released my videos looking into Lima, yes, I do have funny edits. I'm not like, I'm not over here like trying to be like Rachel Maddow or anything like that. But the questions that I raise are legitimate. The concerns I raise are legitimate. Even whenever I do like impressions of Lima's voice and making fun of things she says, they're all coming from a legitimate place of saying, is this person being authentic? Because when you just talk like this and make no facial expressions and talk about how passionate you are about mental health, that's not authentic. Yes, I do that. But Lima, instead of responding to any of the substantive stuff that I've ever said, she made an entire video basically making fun of me.
You that the unicorns are symbolic.
The devil.
With her little friend Destin Dern.
My friend Destin.
Hey, how's it going?
Put me in all kind of stupid edits and stuff like that, which honestly didn't bother me that much because it actually hurt Lima way more than it hurt me. And just go check out the comments on that video. It's true what Kevin's saying. You cannot get out of a scandal by making fun of and mocking your critic. It's called an ad hominem attack. She could have just as easily came out and said, listen, here's all the things substantively, factually that BJ got wrong. And that's what she should have done. But no, she made a shitpost video making fun of me and making fun of Indian clothes and taking shit that I said way out of context. Like, I put all the stuff that she says out there, and then I tell you to go and watch it yourself and don't take my word for it. But Lima made a mocking video.
Kind of, have a little bit of a twitch. Donald Trump got reamed for mocking a critic and reporter for, well, the individual's potentially uncontrolled bodily behavior. Mocking is a really bad idea, and unfortunately, that's exactly what Logan Paul did in this video multiple times.
You're kidding! You can't hatch!
You're kidding. You can't hatch.
You can't hatch!
Additionally, Logan Paul's fourth mistake was he argues that CoffeeZilla is using the name Logan Paul for money and views and pumping coffee.
That is one of Lima's biggest arguments in this lawsuit, is that somehow I'm using this for money and clicks and views.
CoffeeZilla's Patreon. But I hate to say it, Logan Paul, all this falls on its face when you invite CoffeeZilla on your podcast, which somewhat makes it seem like you're begging CoffeeZilla to come on your podcast, but you also say you won't go on his.
Lastly, CoffeeZilla. I now know your motives with this. Clout and money, good for you, but also you're slimy as so I'm not going to come on any of your podcasts. If you want to come on Impulsive and talk about this, that's fine. You've denied my invitation multiple times. You're still invited. It can be a one-on-one. If not, we're going to handle this ourselves while we continue to build Crypto Zoo, and I'll see you in court.
That kind of implies, whether it's true or not, that you're being selfish and you want the views from the drama, not CoffeeZilla.
I have a YouTube channel myself. Go check it out. It's called Dern Brothers.
And if you guys want to support me, please go support him. And while you're at it, make sure you subscribe to this channel. So that we can get through all of the drama together.
So was Lima making a video about me for clicks and views? Was she going on Adam Grandmason's podcast for clicks and views? Did she put herself on Bam Margera's Instagram account for clicks and views? It's got to be good for the gander if it's good for the goose, girl.
Whew. Number 5, hate to say it, but you've got to remember this. When you start saying other people are defaming you for having an opinion, you better be pretty dang sure that what they're saying is not just an opinion and is actually an untrue fact. That is really difficult to prove in court. Because
Boom.
Here's the reality. Look, I make mostly finance videos, and when I make the right call, people leave me nice comments. I get really happy about that. I feel great. My day is happy. When I F up and I make the wrong decision or I make the wrong call, I get called a clown and I get made fun of. That's not defamatory. That's
Lima.
someone else's opinion.
Lima.
When you F up, you get called out. It's simple. Now, you have to prove, if you want to prove defamation, you have to prove that what somebody else is saying is not only not just damaging to you, but you also have to prove that what somebody else is saying is untrue.
Facts ain't defamation, bitch.
But what if that is truly someone's opinion? It's really difficult to argue defamation and actually win defamation in court because the ultimate defense to defamation is the truth. And if someone saying something that's an opinion is what they truly feel, then that individual might not have liability and
And you might owe them their lawyer fees.
CoffeeZilla could be protected by journalistic privileges for simply airing the opinion of others to promote discourse and a call for transparency and sharing opinion. So, Logan Paul, here, chasing defamation or alleging defamation is nearly a career-ending journey of hate and animosity that you're seeking to embark on. And it's probably career-ending, but then again, after I saw you in a Japanese forest and somehow you survived that one, let's just say, I think it's too soon to say any career is over, but it certainly didn't get helped.
So if that video was just totally, completely incidental, completely unrelated to Lima, then it is astonishing how on point it is. And to be honest, since Lima respects Kevin enough to go on his podcast 9 days after Amanda Rabb passed away tragically, unexpectedly, while in Lima's legal care, then she should go ahead and take some of this advice. I mean, he's been on YouTube way longer than her. And I agree with all of this advice wholeheartedly. I ain't going to be threatening no frivolous, meritless defamation lawsuits. And honestly, some of the stuff that's been said about me, I could be. But I know what Kevin knows, which is nobody wins in court. I don't want to be involved in the system where the person with the most money necessarily wins almost every single time. I'm going to be out here saying my truth, speaking my truth on YouTube and on other platforms. And I'm just going to be saying what the truth is. You can say whatever you want to say about me, but try to prove me wrong. In the meantime, facts ain't defamation. Love you, mean it. Okay, bye.